Hey, friend. So, can I be totally honest with you? Last week, I spent a solid hour cleaning my living room, vacuumed, fluffed the pillows, even lit a candle like I was about to host a photo shoot or something. 15 minutes later, shoes in the hallway. Mail exploded on the kitchen counter. Someone opened a snack and just left the evidence again, and I just stood there thinking, is this normal? Or am I just really bad at this? Truth is, it wasn't about the mess, it was the feeling underneath it. Like my home had a mind of its own and I was constantly trying to keep up, but never actually ahead. Like I was always 5 steps behind my own life, chasing order, chasing calm, and never quite catching it. If that sounds even a little familiar, stick around. Not because this video has all the answers, but because these 7 small habits helped me stop chasing and start feeling like I could finally breathe in my own space. The first habit, create one place to catch the chaos. Ever feel too tired to clean, but also too unsettled to ignore the mess around you that used to happen to me all the time? I try to relax, but my eyes kept landing on random clutters, a half-read magazine, unopened mail, some cords, a water bottle. I never put away. I didn't have the energy to deal with it all, but I also couldn't let it sit. So I gave myself one small rule. Everything that's out of place goes into one basket. That's it. Nothing fancy, just a catch-all spot where things can land until I'm ready to deal with them. Here's what that looked like last night. I gathered a notebook, some receipts, lip balm, a return I hadn't boxed up yet, and a random sock, yes, a single sock. All went in the basket. The table was clear again. I could finally exhale, and I always follow this up with a simple rhythm. Empty the basket every couple of days. Put things back with intention. No guilt if it takes a little while. This isn't about hiding clutter. It's about creating one small point of clarity in a room that feels overwhelming. And speaking of visual clutter, tomorrow's video is all about the clothes we keep even when we know they don't serve us anymore. If your wardrobe feels more frustrating than freeing, make sure to catch that one. But before we get to the closet, let's talk about the quiet habit I rely on every single day without even thinking about it anymore. The second habit, clean while you're already moving, not later. You know that moment when you see something out of place, think I'll come back to it, and then completely forget it happens to all of us. And suddenly, instead of one little thing to fix, you're facing 5, 10, a whole pile. Here's what changed for me. I stopped waiting for the right time to clean. Instead, I started dealing with things while I was already moving. Grabbing something from the fridge, toss that expired sauce, hanging up a shirt, pull out one item you never wear anymore, walking past a mess. Take 30 seconds and straighten it. Real example, I used to open the junk drawer, look for a pen, and notice 5 things I didn't need. But I'd just close the drawer and walk away. Now I toss or relocate one item each time I open it. Just one. That's enough. These little micro moves add up. It's not about decluttering your whole house, it's about building momentum without effort. And once you're used to noticing the mess in motion, you'll see how many just-in-case items are quietly stealing your space. The third habit, don't save the mess for later, do it during. You know that tired habit of letting everything pile up, just so you can clean it all at once later? I used to do that constantly. Cook a full meal, leave every dish, every splatter, every package, thinking I'd clean after dinner when I'm free, but by then I was drained. So the mess stayed. And so did the weight of it. Here's the shift that made a huge difference. I started resetting as I go, not perfectly, but just enough to keep the mess from building. Wipe the counter while the water's boiling. Throw out the box as soon as you open the delivery. Put things back in the middle of the task, not when it's over. Real example, I used to make coffee every morning, then leave grounds on the counter and milk out on the stovetop. Now I wipe the counter before I even take the first sip. It's a 15-second habit that changes how my entire kitchen feels all day. It's not about being tidy. It's about not leaving everything until you have no energy left to care. And once you start catching these little resets in the moment, you might finally let go of the pressure to do it all or nothing. The fourth habit, do the tiny task now. Not later. I used to convince myself that I'd take care of it later. The empty cup, the receipt, that thing on the stairs that just needs to go up. But here's what actually happened. Later came with 5 more things, and then 10. And then I'd feel behind before the day even started. And honestly, I think this is a habit worth learning, especially if your home tends to fall apart in like slow motion like mine used to. Because the delay isn't saving you time, it's just stacking the stress. So I gave myself one simple rule: if it takes less than a minute, I do it now. Rinse the mug instead of leaving it. Toss the packaging right after opening. Grab that item as I walk by instead of walking past it again and again. Real example, I used to leave shopping bags by the door until I had time to put things away. Now I unpack them the second I set them down. It's fast, it's boring, but it keeps the clutter from even starting. It's not about discipline, it's about interrupting the cycle before it grows. And once I started catching these little wins in the moment, I realized how many things I was holding on to just in case. The 5th habit: let go of your backup stash. For a long time, I thought I was being smart. I stocked up on deals, bought extras, kept things just in case I needed them. But the truth, I wasn't saving time or money. I was just crowding my space. And slowly, all those backups started to back me into a corner. So here's the habit I built instead. If I don't have a clear space for it, I don't buy it. If I'm keeping it just in case, I ask, what's the actual chance I'll need this? And not already have something else that works. Real example, I once had 4 bottles of the same shampoo because I couldn't pass up a discount. By the time I finished one, I was sick of the scent. The other 3 sat in the cabinet for months. Now I keep one of everything I use, that's it. And I honestly think this is a habit worth learning, especially if you're tired of feeling like your stuff is running the show. Because letting go of the just-in-case mindset makes room for what you actually use and what actually fits your space. And speaking of space, the next habit is what helped me reset my home without doing full-blown cleanups every night. The 6th habit: reset one small surface at night, not the whole room. There were nights when I'd look around and feel completely drained. Too much out, too many surfaces messy, and I'd think, if I can't clean everything, why bother cleaning anything? That mindset wore me out more than the mess did. So I started doing something tiny but consistent. Each night, I clear off one surface, not the whole kitchen, not the whole room, just one. Usually it's where I start my morning: a small counter, a table, a tray. I put everything away or into my reset basket. Wipe it down. That's it. Real example, my go-to is the corner of my kitchen counter where I make tea. I clear it every evening no matter how tired I am. That one clean space greets me first thing the next day. And it makes a difference. Honestly, I think this is a habit worth learning, especially if you tend to feel overwhelmed before the day even begins. Because it's not about the whole house looking spotless. It's about giving your brain one place to land that feels calm. And that brings us to the final habit, maybe the one that's hardest to learn, but makes the biggest difference. The 7th habit: give your decor and your space boundaries. There was a time when I thought I just needed to add the right finishing touch. One more frame, one more candle, one more shelf. But no matter how many little extras I brought in, the space never felt right. It always felt unfinished, overstuffed, off. Eventually, I realized the problem wasn't my style, it was my lack of limits, so I made one. Every shelf, every surface gets a number. For me, that number is 3. 3 items, that's it. If I want to keep something else, it gets rotated out, but it doesn't get to live there all at once. Real example, I had a bookshelf that used to be full of small plants, photo frames, little jars, candles. It looked busy, not styled. Now it holds 3 things: a stack of books, 1 candle, and a bowl I love. The whole room feels quieter. And I really think this is a habit worth learning, especially if your space never feels done no matter how much you decorate. Because boundaries aren't restrictions, they're relief. So those are the 7 habits I leaned on when I finally got tired of starting over every night. They're not glamorous, they don't promise a perfect home, but they've made my home quieter and my head a little clearer. If you're feeling like the clutter keeps winning, just try one of them. Start with the one that feels doable today, that's all. You don't have to change everything, just break the pattern. And if you've been feeling stuck in your closet lately like it's full, but nothing actually fits your life, tomorrow's video is for you. We'll go through the 7 clothing items that quietly eat up space and make getting dressed more stressful than it needs to be. If that sounds like something you need, I hope I'll see you there, and if this video helped you feel even a little lighter, tap like, or just leave a comment with A so I know you're here doing this with me. You're not alone in it.